In 1972, the fourth king of Bhutan was asked if he was concerned about the fact that his country's gross national product didn't amount to much. "No," said the king, "gross national happiness is more important than gross national product." In 2008, the tiny kingdom in the Himalayas became a democracy, and since then its impact has spread around the world. We've done interviews with the first elected Prime Minister of Bhutan and with Dr. Ronald Coleman, who developed methods for measuring GNH. Our website also includes a short documentary about Bhutan and gross national happiness. The government of Bhutan today continues to pursue GNH. Rather surprisingly, the current director of the Gross National Happiness Center in Thimphu is a Canadian medical doctor, Julia Kim, who oversees the continuing evolution of gross national happiness.
I never really expected to be in Bhutan and to be working on gross national happiness, but I think my journey in trying to understand happiness and health have kind of gotten me to Bhutan. But I started out as a doctor, trained as a medical student at the University of Manitoba in Canada. And at that time I was interested in health and well-being and was kind of drawn into the medical system and trained in internal medicine in the United States. So when in 2012 the Prime Minister of Bhutan came to speak about GNH at the United Nations, I was completely taken aback by the words that we should consider the well-being and happiness of all life as the center and the purpose of development. That really grabbed my attention and made me think, this is a meeting I need to be at. And it's at that point that I met the Prime Minister of Bhutan. I met Dasha Karma Ura, who was the kind of architect of GNH in New York. And that's where I realized this was where the different streams of my questioning could come together. And the root question for me also about happiness and why are we not looking at the conditions for happiness as a goalpost for our development. So I think it was a coming together of professional and personal questions at that time. And arriving in Bhutan, seeing what was happening, seeing the potential to be asking these deeper questions in a really, I think, enlightened way, really piqued my curiosity.
So tell me what the GNH Center does.
So I would say that our role as a civil society organization is really to try and educate and raise awareness about GNH at a grassroots level in Bhutan and internationally. And I would say also that it's really about trying to take this vision and the values and kind of ground them in action, whether that's in the field of education or in working with businesses and business leaders or with young people in Bhutan. So some of our partners are schools, and we're also starting GNH youth clubs, GNH clubs in different schools, raising awareness and having conversations with young people. I think, as you're probably aware, Bhutan is also now opening up to the world in a way that it hasn't in the past. So young people there are also asking questions about materialism, about social media, about how do the values of GNH translate into their own current reality. So trying to be a place where we can raise a discussion and conversations around those issues with young people. My sense is that GNH needs to almost be owned and reinvented by this young generation in a way that makes sense to them, and that the conversation needs to be not just within Bhutan, but with young people outside of the country, because it's more and more they're seeing and hearing each other across social media. And then internationally, the GNH Center hosts and develops programs for people who want to come to Bhutan and not just have the typical tourist experience, but actually get to meet and talk to people who are working in the GNH field in the country, meet with schools and with teachers, go into rural areas and kind of experience what does it feel like to be living at a slower pace of development there. And then at the end, try to bring some meaning and synthesis to their experience in order that they can take it back to their own country or their own context. I feel like it's an idea whose time has come, and really the challenge now will be in how it's deepened and broadened. So it's a privilege to be in Bhutan now and to be trying to play some small role in that story.
Dr. Julia Kim, Director of the Gross National Happiness Center, Bhutan. If you found this conversation stimulating, take a look at our interviews with former Prime Minister Jigme Finlay and researcher Dr. Ron Coleman. You may also want to look at Dr. John Helliwell, lead author of the UN's World Happiness Report, and Mark Anielski, author of The Economics of Happiness. For The Green Interview, I'm Silver Donald Cameron, wishing you all the happiness in the